Hello there. My name is Simisayo Brownstone, and I am the author of a children's book series called Feyi Fay. And in my books, I like to find ways to incorporate a little bit of African culture and folk tales into the stories. So today for story time, I am going to tell you an African folk tale. Now, in this story, there's not going to be any books, no pictures. We're just going to use our imagination, and you guys at home have to participate with me in the story. So if you've ever thought about being an actor or anything like that, now is the time to put those acting skills to practice. So today's story is from the Zulu tribe of South Africa. Now, I've tweaked the story just a little bit to make it work for this show, but I'm sure you'll enjoy it just the same. Story, story, story. Once upon a time.
Time!
Okay, once upon a time, there was a woman called Manzadimba.
No, Manzadimba.
It was Manzadaba. Okay,
No.
her name was Manzadaba, and she
No,
lived.
Babwa.
She lived long ago with her husband and her many children. She had many children, and they would work all day, and they would work all day, and they would play all day. But at night, it was too dark to go play, but it was too early to go to bed, and the children wanted stories. So they said to their mom, "Mama, Mama, can you tell us stories?" Can you say, "Mama, Mama, can you tell us stories?"
Mama, can you tell us stories?
And so Manzadaba thought and thought and thought, and she could not think of any stories. And so she went to a neighbor's house and she said, "Knock, knock, knock, knock. Do you have any stories? Let's knock. Knock, 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 knock. Do you have any stories?" And the neighbor said, "No, I do not have any stories." So she went to her husband and said, "I don't know what to do. I can't tell the children any stories." So he said, "Why don't you go and ask the animals in the animal kingdom to see if they can tell you any stories? I will stay home and take care of the children. You go and find some stories." So Manzadaba went into the forest. Let's pretend like we're walking to the forest.
I'm scared of forest. They have dinosaurs, rocks,
Okay.
and
They didn't have any dinosaurs. Manzadaba came across a hare. It's like a rabbit. And she said, Mr. Hare, can you tell us a story?" And say, Mr. Hare, Mr. Hare,
Mr. Hare.
Mr. Hare,
Mr. Hare.
do you have any stories? And Mr. Hare said, "I don't have time for stories." And he hopped away. And so Manzadaba was sad. Let me see your sad face. And she was sad, but she continued. So she continued walking through the forest. And then,
She's blowing bubbles.
then she came across a baboon. It was a baboon, and the baboon had babies. And she thought, well, if the baboon has babies, maybe the baboon is telling her babies stories. So she said, Miss Baboon, Miss Baboon. Can you say Miss Baboon?
Miss Baboon. Miss Baboon.
Do you have any stories?
Do you have any stories?
And Miss Baboon said, I don't have time for stories. I don't have human children that are crying and crying all day for stories. I have to take care of my babies. I have to make sure they're fed and they're warm. I don't have time for stories. Go away, you human woman. And Manzadaba was sad. Let me see your sad face. Okay, so she continued and she continued. And then she looked up in the tree and she saw an owl. And the owl was asleep, because owls only are awake in the nighttime, but the owl was asleep because it was daytime. And she said, Mr. Owl! Mr. Owl! Can you say Mr. Owl?
Mr. Owl! Mr. Owl!
And the owl woke up and said, who's that waking me up in the middle of the day? And she said, can you tell me a story? Say, can you tell me a story?
Can you tell me a story?
So I can take home to my children. And Mr. Owl said, is that why you woke me up in the middle of the day to ask me if I have stories? And he just flew away. And Manzadaba again was very sad. Let's see your sad face. But she continued. She continued. We're walking, we're walking, we're walking. Then she came across an elephant. It was an elephant. And she said, oh, Mr. Elephant, can you help me? I am trying to find stories to take home to my children. And the elephant was very kind and very nice. So,
boom, 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 boom. I'm stomping.
Stomping like an elephant. Okay, let me tell you a story. Okay. So the elephant said, well, if you go to the eagle is very wise and he will tell you what you need to know. And so she said, oh, I'm so happy. Let's see your happy face now. She was so happy. And so she went looking for the eagle. Let's go. We're looking for the eagle. Let's go.
The eagle's not. Eagles live in the sky. They don't live in jungles.
I know. She was looking in the sky for the eagle. So she was walking and looking up in the sky. Let's look up in the sky for the eagle.
She's running!
And then she saw the eagle and she said, Mr. Eagle! Can you say Mr. Eagle?
Mr. Eagle!
And the eagle flew down onto the ground. And she said, Mr. Eagle, oh, wise Mr. Eagle, can you tell me a story that I can take home to my children? And Mr. Eagle says, I am very wise, but I do not know everything. But I can tell you who can tell you about who can tell you where to find a story. Go ask the turtle, and the tortoise will tell you where to find a story.
A lot.
And so she said, now I have to go somewhere else. But she was getting closer. So she went looking for the tortoise. Okay, let's go looking for the tortoise. We're going, we're walking, 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 we're walking. And so she found the tortoise. And the tortoise said, and she said, Mr. Tortoise, Mr. Tortoise. Say, Mr. Tortoise, Mr. Tortoise.
Mr. Tortoise. I'm slow, Tortoise.
It's very slow. Can you tell me a story, she said?
She said, and the tortoise said, yes, I do. Okay.
Wait, let me tell you what the tortoise said. The tortoise said, I don't have a story, but I know who can. I can take you to the sea people, and the sea people would tell you the story. So get on my back, and I'm going to take you underwater to meet the sea people.
Okay,
So,
and you're the turtle.
so she got on the turtle's back, and they went under the water, and they were swimming, and they then found the sea people. And she said, sea people, sea people. Can you say sea people? Can you tell me a story that I can take home to my children? And they said, yes, I can tell you stories to take home to your people, but in order for me to tell you a story, you have to bring me something, they said. You have to bring us something. And she said, what? I will bring you anything. I've been looking for stories all over the place. And they said, just go back home and bring me a carving of your family. And she said, oh, that's easy. And so she got back on the turtle's back, went up to land, and she went home. She went past the elephant, she went past the eagle, she went past the baboon, she went past the hare, and she got home to her family. And she told her family what had happened. She told her family of all the animals she had talked to find the stories. She told them of all her adventures, and they were all gathering around to listen to the tale that she was telling about her adventures. And her husband said, okay, to get you the stories, I'm going to carve you a picture. And her husband carved and carved a picture of their family. And everybody came from the village, came around to hear the story of Manzadaba's journey to look for stories. When the carving was done, she went back to look for the sea people. She went past the hare. She went past the baboon. She went past the owl. She went past the eagle. She went past the elephant. She then got to the tortoise. She got on the tortoise's back and she went down into the water again. And she said, sea people, sea people. Can you say sea people? Sea people, sea people. Here is my picture of my family. Now, can you tell me the stories? And she and the sea people said, the stories were within you all along. Your adventure here was a story. Did you not see how your people reacted when you told them about your journeys? And Manzadaba thought, oh, I already had a story. And they said, the stories are within all of us. But to help you, I'm going to give you a beautiful shell. And whenever you place this shell on your ear, you are going to hear the stories of all the people around you. The people that came before you, the people that came after you. You're going to hear the stories and you're going to be able to share them with your people. And Manzadaba was so excited. She took the shell and she went back home to her people. Let's walk. We're going. We're walking. We're walking. We're walking.
We're pooping. We're
walking. We're walking. We're walking. We're walking. We're walking. We're walking.
I'm slowly.
You're not the TARDIS anymore. You're Manzadaba now. And so she walked, and then she got home, and she put the shell on her ear, and from that day onwards, she was always able to tell her babies, her family, her whole village, her whole neighborhood stories, including the story about how she recovered the stories. So I hope you enjoyed that story. If you enjoyed the story, mention so in the comments and subscribe to the channel for more stories. Okay, thank you very much for watching. Bye.